I think there are a couple of big ideas in the discipline of communication. And one of those big ideas is that listening is a responsibility. So, what does this look like within our relationships, our communities, our interactions with those who we don't even know and those that we truly appreciate? I think first and foremost, we understand that listening is not the same thing as hearing, right? I can listen or I can hear what you're saying without really listening to it. I don't know about you, but sometimes I find it hard to focus in on what another person is saying when there's other things going on. And if I'm in a crowded restaurant, interacting with my family, if it's a loud restaurant, sometimes I have trouble just listening to what, my wife or a sibling is saying. In part because I can hear them, but I also hear everything else around me, and it's getting in the way, it's creating noise in the conversation. And I think we owe it to the people that we engage with to listen, not just hear them. This is this big idea, this principle of listening as a responsibility. Our world is often divided on lots of different issues, and sometimes I've made up my mind about what another person believes or what they think or even what they're going to say halfway through their sentence. And sometimes this is trivial, it doesn't make a big difference. I'm able to catch up and go back, and the relationship is solid enough that there's understanding there. But when I move out of those, really close relationships, and I start doing that with people I don't know very well, or maybe I read something about a person and I think I know one part of who they are, I stop listening to everything else. And I think that leads to a lot of poor understanding. I think that shuts down our discourse rather than giving us an opportunity to really engage. If you think about the best listeners in your life, I'm guessing that the people who come to mind are not just the people who can hear what you're saying, but are the people that are able to help you understand what you've just said. Whether these are people we agree with or not, their reflections back to us about what they feel matters in what we've just said often is a great indication of a good listener. So, being someone who can discern what matters in someone else's ideas, whether that's their position on a political argument, or just them explaining why they were upset about something. If you can listen in the context of understanding who that person is and bring all of that along with you, I think that's what it is. The great listeners are the people who don't forget about us. They understand that what we're saying and the things that, our positions, our arguments are coming from a person. And if they have a relationship with that person, what do I know about this person? And how might that help me understand what this person is saying? And if I don't know this person, how can I give them a chance to express what matters and listen and ask questions and try to refine my understanding of what this person is saying so that I don't clump them into a category. I don't stereotype. I don't put them in a box. I give them an opportunity to explain themselves. I think the other thing that really, really great listeners have in common with one another is they're not just listening for what's said, but oftentimes listening for the things that we stop talking about. If I think about the best listener in my life, the thing that really sets them apart is they pick up on when I'm not talking about something. When maybe there's an event that's going on in the world and I'm not talking about it. I'm usually pretty engaged in current events. So if I'm not talking about something, it's probably because I'm really wrestling with it. I'm trying to figure out where it fits within my paradigm. how I feel about the things that I see. And they ask really good questions that help me understand how I process and how I think about the world. You know, if I was talking about something I was really excited about last week, but this week I've stopped talking about it, this person, they pick up on those sort of things. They remember who I am, and they filter what I'm saying and what I'm no longer saying through that lens of, you know, what do I know about this person? Who are they? When we engage in communication, we are often going to find ourselves in a position where we are communicating with someone that we disagree with. And that's really what I want to talk to you about. What I really hope you take away from this is this principle, that when you are listening to someone with whom you disagree, I want you to be a student first and a critic second. What does this mean? I want you to think about a person in your life that you know you have different opinions about things. When you talk about these things, are you just waiting for your turn to present your argument? Or have you shut down completely? Maybe you're engaged, but maybe you're engaged to pick apart the argument. I would really encourage you to start from a different vantage point. I think if you want to have a better conversation with the people you disagree with, I think you need to start as a student. What does it mean to start as a student? Well, I think first, a student is someone who seeks to understand. Right? If you're a student right now, it means that you are going to classes, you're sitting through seminars, you're listening closely because you want to understand something differently. Rather than starting from the vantage point of, I want this person to understand me, a student starts from, I want to understand whatever I'm being told. Now, I don't want you to stop there. We're going to get to the critic in a minute, but if you start from this vantage point of treating the other person's perspective as one that holds truth somewhere, or could hold truth, or if you can't go that far, it might possibly one day be close to the truth. If you can start from a vantage point of, I could learn something here, you'll engage differently as a listener. You'll truly try to understand, what is this person trying to communicate? I think a student is someone who also assumes the best about the other person. They give the benefit of the doubt. They give them the most generous interpretation. If someone says something that seems really off, right? Doesn't seem to fit the conversation, seems to be inflammatory, or seems to be an exaggeration. Someone who's a student first assumes the best. You know, maybe this person's really nervous and they weren't able to really articulate what they wanted to articulate. So what's the most generous read? What's the best possible assumption that I could make about what this person means? If I start from there, it means that I assume that the person with whom I disagree is rational, they're reasonable, they want to find agreement. They may not. But if I start from the position of assuming the best, I might be able to lead in an uncomfortable situation. I might be able to move us from disagreement to understanding. Doesn't mean that we're going to see eye to eye, but maybe I'm going to understand something a little bit better about that person or that position that they've taken. When I assume the worst, those things just aren't possible. The last thing that I want you to do as a student is to step outside of your own experiences and consider the breadth of human experience. Your experience is valid. I want you to know that the things that you have gone through in life that have led you to believe what you believe about certain things, those experiences happened. Can't take that away from you. be careful that you don't take that away from other people. That the things that they are saying, whether it's a faith belief or a political belief or some other part of their identity, is often driven by the experiences that they have had in life. So consider how their experiences, as valid experiences, could lead to a position, and honor that in that other person. I don't want you to stop here, though. I believe that if listening is a responsibility, we have a responsibility to listen critically, to think deeply about what we hear, and not just accept what we've been told as fact, right? As students, when you hear something from a professor or a teacher or a pastor or a mentor, I hope you don't just say, yep, that's true. I hope you are comparing it against what you know and what you believe, and asking questions and thinking critically. So let's start as a student, because we can all learn something, but don't stop there. Engage critically. A critic is someone who looks for uninspected bias. What things might be leading this person that you disagree with to see the world the way they do? Are they only consuming one perspective? Are they finding what confirms their belief, and then they stop looking for other perspectives? Uninspected bias or confirmation bias, could lead to us having a very narrow perspective or worldview. So look for uninspected bias. How might that be coloring the information that this person chooses to include? Secondly, seek wisdom. When you hear something that seems suspicious, do some research. Go find someone who has a lot of experience in this issue and try to understand their perspective. Whether it's public health or political or faith and religion, don't just stop at what you hear, but dig a little deeper. If something seems off, it might be off. And it might not be intentionally off. It might not be intended to mislead, but we recognize that we live in a world where there are people who do intend to mislead us. So seek wisdom. And lastly, the critic is someone who considers the breadth of human experience. This may sound familiar. If you hear something from a perspective that seems to be ignoring the breadth of human experience, ask yourself a couple of questions. Who have I talked to lately who's had a different experience than I have? How does my experiences in life shape who I am and what I believe? And how might that be shaping the beliefs of this person in front of me? Who could I bring into this person's life that could expand their perspectives? How can I share my own experiences that are valid and have shaped me to be who I am? How can I share that with this other person? Don't shy away from these tough conversations. The world needs us to engage. I would encourage you to engage first as a good listener, not just hearing the argument, listening for what matters, for what's said and what's not said, to listen first as a student, but don't stop there. I want you to think critically. I want you to engage. So, student first, critic second. Listening is a responsibility, and if we're going to find a way to unify and heal some division, we're going to have to start by listening to other people as if they had something to teach us, and then engaging.